Hello and welcome back to Harry Shoots People, and in this week's video we're going to be continuing on from last week's video, Gigs, Gigs and More Gigs, with the third and final gig, which is a little bit special because it's both kind of a gig and a fashion show blended together. So without any further ado, I headed down to the Made By Atelier X One to Another collaborative event, A Boy in a Dream. Unfortunately first I had to go to work. So after work, I headed down to the event with my Contax G1 and 139Q in tow. Like I said before, the event would be structured in a way where there'd be 3 bands playing first and then a fashion show to debut the clothes, and then 2 more bands playing to finish off and close the night. So suffice to say I was pretty excited, and the studio was looking really cool once I got there, so I knew there'd be some good pictures to come. Whilst everything was getting set up, I decided to take a couple of pictures of people as they were sort of getting the hair styled for the event. I do like that first shot of Harry, although the composition isn't great with the wire running directly down the middle of the photo. But it's better than the first photo I took that day, because the first photo I took that day was accidentally on -2 exposure because the camera had been in my bag and the dial had been twisted, so that didn't come out at all. But luckily I fixed that, and it didn't happen again for the rest of the evening. With all that being said, first up to play was only Omar. So like I'd said before, I'd brought the G1 and the 139Q in order to get sort of a mixture of shots, because obviously on the G1 I famously have the 28mm lens, and the 139 I often will have like a 50mm on that, and it's nice to just get sort of a differing thing, because the 28 is great but it can be really awful sometimes when you just want to close in on your subject. However, as viewers of this channel will know, the Contax 139 has been slowly breaking more and more week in, and unfortunately it was at this event where it just basically kicked it completely. So rest in peace to the Contax 139Q until I can afford to get it CLA'd. Essentially the shutter had been going down and then just not coming back up for a while. It started off being a little bit slow, then it sort of hit the 5-minute mark, then the 10-minute mark, and then at this event it just went down and just didn't come back up again, which was really unfortunate. But luckily, as I said before, I have the G1 with me, so everything from this point onwards is shot on that. One thing that I do really love about that G1 with the TLA 140 flash is how strong the flash can be, and how like its presence can come out really great, especially in photos like this, where I love the way that it casts the shadows onto the wall behind, and it just ends up coming out really cool, and you wouldn't expect it from such a small flash. I also really love this slow shutter speed one, came out really cool. I love how it's warped and blended Gelder's face all together. I do wish I got a little bit closer for this one, but it's still kind of nice to have it as a focal point of the image and everything else be fairly sharp.
You say home last night, you said stayed out night. You so in my life, I come fly. You won't give us a night. Oh yeah.
Free Party were really fun to photograph because all of the members were dressed incredibly similar, so it gives images this sort of really nice, almost funny synchronicity to them, like with this one.
Thank you very much.
In between their set, I sort of walked around into the behind the scenes area and took some behind the scenes photos as people were preparing to go onto the runway, because that was what was next. I really enjoy this photo of Adam. Like I was saying in gigs and more gigs, I've been starting to shoot on the canted angle a lot more. And I think it's come out really great here. I love the posing, composition, and general sort of behind the scenes nature of it. Just came out for a really great image. That rail is slightly inconvenient though. I really like this image of Madeleine too. It came out really nice and sharp, and that full frontal flash is really nice. And again with the shadow. I wasn't sure that it would come out as sharp as it was because the Contax sometimes struggles when it's like a 0.5 meter focal distance, but it came out lovely. Speaking of the runway, it was nearly time for it to start, and my job was to wait at one end of it in front of the large sign, and as the models would come out as part of their loop, they'd stop, pose, I'd take a picture of them, then they'd carry on. I was pretty nervous to do this as I hadn't really done anything like this before, apart from that time years ago when it went wrong. And obviously once the runway starts, nothing will stop it. So I had to be on point throughout the entire thing, even with a camera that is famously unreliable with autofocus. So the models began walking and I took the first picture. And then I took the second picture and realised that there was something seriously wrong. Obviously, prior to this exact moment, I'd shot 3 bands already and used flash on basically every single picture. And unbeknownst to me, the flash battery was running incredibly low. And guess who didn't pack a spare? I was definitely panicking as soon as I sort of realised what was going on. And like I'd said before, the runway definitely wasn't going to stop for any reason, let alone my flash. So even though I was panicking, I managed to figure out that if I just turned the flash off whenever I wasn't using it and turned it back on moments before I had to shoot the models, that it would be okay. And generally it was. It came out pretty fine in the end. But like I say, I was stressing the entire time. I was panicking. I don't think I checked a single distance focus reading the entire time just because I was more focused on if I can get any picture in this situation, then it'll be good. But overall, the runway went pretty successfully. I kind of do wish that I'd shot a vertical and a horizontal for pretty much every look, but unfortunately, with, as I say, how much I was panicking and sort of just working in that space as a whole, just wasn't sure exactly what to go for. And with there being 30 looks, it would have required me to reload my camera halfway through, and I didn't know if I could definitely take that chance. Some of the shots definitely aren't strong as the others, but I did end up with quite a few from this roll that I do like. Unfortunately, as the runway progressed, more and more people started to fill up the entranceway, which made it a little bit more difficult for me to compose photos and not get in these people's way and then not get in the model's way either. But even with all that being said, I think my 3 favourites from this roll are probably the shot of Madeleine, Ella, and Adam. And then this image from the end of the runway came out really, really nice too. It's a little bit more in keeping with my own personal style of photography, and it just came out really cool. I really like it, and I think it's probably something that would definitely go into my portfolio.
Just like nothing that ever was is any of your concern.
Humane The Moon were another really fun one to photograph. I ended up liking quite a lot of the photos from their set. I think my favourites would be this sort of wider shot on a slight angle, and then this vertical one came out really nice too. Unfortunately though, at this moment, once they'd finished playing, I got a little bit confused thinking that they were the last band on for the evening, and very quickly realised they weren't when Stone started playing. So, like I just said, I did get a little bit confused thinking that Humane The Moon were the last band on, and at this point I'd shot all of my colour film, so the only option I had left to load once Stone started playing was some HP5+. Although I do really think the black and white works really, really great here. I think the combination of sort of the like atmosphere from both the band and the crowd and their interactions just made all the images look really, really great. And with the black and white, it just makes them feel a little bit more timeless, and just generally I think strips down the images quite a lot. And it also, like Morgan said, it works to distinguish the headliners from the bands that played before, which is also a nice way to distinguish it.
Let's dance to the real thing. I mean, it's I say it's I can't stand to be excited. Listen to what you want, but can you let it won't get quieted? There's something I'm sure. Find some mutual ground, but if you play on 34, I'm running off the ticket. That's so good, hardest man in the convoy. All I see with my eyes is some boy looks really blinders and just crypto in places, just off the admiration.
I love so many of the photos from their set. It was a really great set as well, and I ended up shooting an entire roll of HP5, and I got so many nice ones out of it. I think my personal favourites are definitely this photo of everyone dancing. The slow shutter speed works quite well here. I really like this close-up, and then this photo of Adam. But I think the one that is like my particular favourite of this roll is definitely this one from behind the band, with sort of the beaming light shining through. It just, I think, works really well, and there's a really nice separation between light and shadow in the image, and I like the fact that just the one microphone's in focus, everything else is slightly blurred but not too much, and again, everyone's kind of in silhouette but with that sort of glow around them. It just came out really nice. And with that being said, that was the end of the evening. It was such a sick event. Once again, a massive shout out to both Made By Atelier and One to Another for putting on the evening. Shout out to all of the bands that played and everyone that walked and everyone that came too. Both Made By Atelier and One to Another's Instagrams will be down in the description along with all the bands that played. So if you like those, you can go and check them out down there. I feel like I got so many good photos from the night, and I'm really happy with just everything that came out of it. And I really hope that this video, you've enjoyed watching it. If you liked the video, drop it a like and let me know which was your favourite photo or band that played in the comments below. And if you'd like to see more of my photography, please consider subscribing. Thank you for watching.